I was thinking about this idea of just focusing on mechanics and what to do next in a problem rather than focusing on the problem. And that sounds pretty simple and I don't know, not profound, but it really is pretty effective. Here's what I mean. If you think about being a founder and or being a productive person, being an entrepreneur, you constantly are so aggressive that you run into a lot of challenges, a lot of large scale challenges. If you're uber aggressive, you may even be like the next step up of of a typical productive person. You're really productive and you're really aggressive, then you're going to run into probably more challenges because you're having to change the world more because of your aggressiveness. You're having to go in there and just make people change their minds. You're having to influence people. You're trying a lot of things. You're probably stepping on people's toes, pissing competitors off, all this sort of stuff that could potentially happen. And then you're dealing with, if you're an entrepreneur and you're a founder, you're dealing with hires, you're dealing with people's livelihood, and you're dealing with all this sort of stuff that could potentially happen. It's easy to get caught up in the why did this happen, and or like more specifically, like ruminating about how wrong the other person was or how wrong the situation is and how much it sucks, and damn it, like this is like you're just basically trying to make your point to yourself in your head. You ever do that? I know you do that, right? If people do that, and that's okay. It's a good trait because you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to understand why, and you're trying to kind of make yourself feel good about it. At the end of the day, two things to really do. First of all, if you are trying to make yourself feel good about it, that's a smart thing. I think one of the smartest strategies I've ever come across and started to do that really helps me a lot was to identify that there's a conflict in my mind and then actually go inside my head and solve that conflict by talking aloud about it, or like sitting here and using language, like internal language processing as a tool for the brain to change that, to find the misalignment and to change the misalignment by figuring out a mechanical next action or some sort of next plans. It's interesting because neurologically, the act of language processing in the brain, directing what may be stored in the prefrontal cortex, what may be in memory, what may be in various parts of the brain that activate other various parts of the brain, is a very smart way in this language directing kind of way to straighten out internal conflicts. You will walk away from those kind of situations where you just chill the hell out and use internal language to identify a conflict and try to fix it clear from the problem, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, my brain feels light, everything feels a lot lighter, I feel a lot better about it. I just untied this knot. I unkinked this kink in my brain. That's one reason you want to do that. The other thing is, the other idea that I want to get across is just whenever there's like major issues and something happened or something is happening, you are so much better just focusing on mechanics. I use this idea in my head, I just say the word mechanics. I'm just like, alright, focus on the mechanics, meaning not why did this happen, it sucks that it happened, and let me just ruminate about making my point to myself or to others, because that is a fucking waste of time. But rather, what are the mechanics of how I'm going to change it? How can I take the time that I would spend trying to make my point of ruminating about it and really put it towards something constructive so I can get myself out of the situation and moving faster to a better outcome, to fix the situation or to move to a completely different thing. It comes down to how can I stop myself from wasting time thinking about something stupid and put myself in a position where I'm actually engaged in the mechanics of fixing it. And then what's really cool about that whole process is then you actually start thinking about what are the mechanics. Okay, I have to do this, this, and this. I got to put another ad out for a person to hire. I have to do this thing to change how we sit in the market in relation to competitors because they just made this recent move. You know, I have to find a new supplier for X, thing. Because our current supplier, pulled a fast one on us or something. Now I just have to go find that thing. So now it becomes, I'm excited about finding that new thing. Here's mechanics that are laid out. Now let me just go get psyched. Then you got to hype yourself up and go execute on that thing. And really, that is the strat. Like if you look at, there's a book written by a couple. It's a I think the guy was a neuropsychologist or something. There was a guy specialist in cognitive behavioral science, and then a neuroscientist wrote a book called A Winner's Brain. Something about how successful people think, and they talked about like the anterior cingulate cortex, all these various parts of the brain in entrepreneurs and people who win, and how they create this stimulation of ambition and drive, and that is like that those are one of the primary differentiators between people who get stuck and hung up on things and folks who are uber productive. They have this capacity to focus on mechanics and prioritize on how to think. Like it's not important for me to think about this, but I need to think about this. Like in rank order prioritization for how to forward move, to solve a problem. It's really interesting stuff. And I think at the end of the day, me being a neuroscience geek, it's very true. It's I see it in my own brain. It changes the game completely. And I hope that makes sense. And if it does, tweet it. If it doesn't, tweet it anyway. And thanks for watching.